Hello everybody, today we're gonna continue the Blob marathon with the DS version of the Blob 2. Now before I continue, you might be wondering, wait a minute, wasn't there a DS version of the Blob 1? Well, there was. Well, unfortunately that version got cancelled. Why? Because the developer who were developing the game actually went bankrupt, which is a shame. But for now, let's talk about what is essentially the 1.5 of the Blob games, the Blob 2 on DS. Here's the reason why I said this game is essentially the 1.5 of the games. You see, despite it technically being called the Blob 2, it's more like the Blob 1.5. There are elements that aren't even in this version. The story is also vastly different. In this version, Dr. Von Blot, Comrade's black chief scientist, has been experimenting with creatures in order to create a new kind of mutated ink. Blob stumbles across Von Blot's jungle-based underground laboratory and proceeds to stop the doctor's nefarious scheme. After some exploring in the laboratory, Blob stumbles upon Von Blot, who accidentally falls into a pool of mutated ink that turns him into the Blob, a giant monster with Blob-based powers, and he leads an invasion on Chroma City. Now, I know what you might be thinking. Oh no, it's gonna be like Sonic Adventure 2 all over again. Well, it isn't. Yeah, it isn't. Nobody even dares to confuse the Blob for the Blot even once, and that's a relief. Speaking of which, let's talk about how the cutscenes are represented. They've got this comic book style where panels from different shapes slide in and out. Sometimes a character from one panel can interact with something else from another panel. I really like that. The characters are also semi-animated and they can really be entertaining but also sometimes hilarious. Like this moment here, for example. But enough of that, let's talk about the gameplay. Now, you might have seen a prototype of the cancelled DS version of the first game, where that one was actually 3D, complete with the same objective, and even leaving a trail of whatever color you had, like in the console version. But here in the Blob 2, it's been made into a 2D platformer. You still color things whenever you walk on them, but now the walls also get colored to make it easier to see which one you colored. The gradients are also once again present, needed to be converted into gradients. But this time it's clear that the level structure is now start to end rather than just coloring the entire level and then exiting. The controls for the most part are pretty good, although jumping is slightly floaty. But where the transition kinda muffles and fumbles is in the level design. Because it has to be on a handheld, I feel like the level design suffers. Not a lot, but just a little bit to make me prefer the ones in the first game. It's kinda unfair, but at the same time, in the Blob 1, the levels didn't feel same-ish as in this one. Not all the time in the Blob 2, mind you. In fact, some levels can actually be pretty creative, but it can also feel pretty noticeable. Now, as for the music, it's DS, it's Bitcrust, but it still sounds pretty good, even if it is Bitcrust as heck. But anyway, we meet our the Blob doppelganger, and he's pretty pathetic. The Blood then wakes up and is then revealed that he is attached to a mighty rocky ship blasted away to never be seen ever again. Right. Well, actually, he basically explodes back the colors into town, killing off the remaining Inkies. The color is restored, the day is saved, the end. So yeah, that was the DS version of the Blob 2, and honestly, on its own, it's a really fun game. But compared to the first one, I still kinda sorta prefer it. And ooh, looks like we have the Blob 2 to look forward to. See you guys next time in the Blob Marathon.